duo. The duo. The duo.
You said that last year.
Have I ever lied before? Yeah.
Oh, snap. My audio levels are great. We are
That's
back in the
lovely.
saddle, Dane.
Okay, how my audio? I need to be lower, higher, mic down, mic further away.
I can't even see your mic. Your levels are coming in great. I've already hit the record button.
Oh, I've already hit the record button.
I've already hit the record button.
All right, low budget Tay Diggs, go ahead. Get going, man.
Man,
That's a compliment, by the way.
Oh, thank you, buddy. Thank you,
Just
man.
kidding. Just kidding. You'll never be as good as an actor as Tay Diggs.
That's messed up.
Nah, I mess with you,
Dang,
man.
do we call this episode 91? It's been like 5 months. Or do we start fresh?
Oh man. No, we're 91, baby. So we gotta give it episode 91. We got
there you go. Episode 91 of the Duo Sports and Stuff podcast. I am Deonte. I'm joined by my ace, my guy, my best man, my best friend, my dude, Dane Beasley. Dane, we back, bro.
We back.
We back.
Pinch myself just to make sure it's real. I guess we are back, man. We are back in the thing.
How are you doing, man? How's it feel to be recording with a microphone in front of you, looking at me through a screen?
Look, man. All I can say is I'm gonna take it back to my old roots. You know, it's been a minute, so I'm gonna take it back. I'm all in. Just like my Huntsville high school T-shirt says, I'm all in. I'm all in. Shout out to the Hornets. I don't know how y'all doing athletically or academically, but hopefully it's pretty good. Hopefully it's doing as good as the DFW area is doing. But
DFW, what? South Oak Cliff, Duncanville, DeSoto.
And DeSoto, all headed to state.
All going to the state championship game on Friday and Saturday, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah. One of those days. A few of those days. I'll be watching from afar.
Yeah. South Oak Cliff came back. Or they're heading back after winning state last year. Did Duncanville make it last? I know DeSoto didn't make it last year.
I don't remember about Duncanville. You know, they've been so many times in the last 5 years.
You kind of get a little count after playing against North Shore, right?
For the fourth time in 5 years.
Fourth time, and North Shore's beat them all.
Hey man, we ain't talking about that. We ain't talking about that. All right, it's a new year. Okay. We're not gonna start this Dallas Houston beef. All right.
For the people that don't know, Dane and DeMonrick went to the Duncanville North Shore game with the crazy.
I had to bring that up.
You can just Google it on YouTube.
Yeah, it was an epic game, bro. Jaquindon Jackson drove the team down what was assumed to be the fourth quarter comeback, and it literally it was already impossible for them to come back. Right before the Hail Mary play that won them the game, they got a false start, pushed them back, and the lineman that falsely moved was going beating his head, and everybody's pepping like, "It'll be all right." Didn't matter because the fingernails and the hair follicles of God Himself allowed that to happen. Because the way Buddy came down, it was like no way that he was in, no way that he caught it, but it came down. And we got video footage, probably look on the TV somewhere of the audience reaction. You can see DeMar going like this, touchdown. You can see me going like this, and they showed a replay on that big screen TV, and we all looking at. I'm like,
one of the craziest finishes in Texas high school football history, if not the craziest. But the state championship games in Texas are this upcoming weekend, and let's just dive back into this thing, man. Last time Dane and I recorded episode 90 back
previously on Power.
Previously on the Duo. What month was that? I think it was July.
I tell you, I think I can tell you for certain it was July because I didn't even have this computer. I didn't even have this computer.
You're looking clear and crisp.
Oh, you know. Hey, it could be the lighting. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. It's probably all the fruit I've been eating today. That might help.
Your skin is glowing, brother. You're looking good.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. But continue with your hosting. I'm sure you're about to get into what kept us away for so long. I'm sure you.
Yeah. Well, the
people would like to know.
Yeah, we left episode 90 with me talking to us discussing that I got offered a position up here in the Northeast in New England. So that's where we are now, my wife and I. And
boy ain't got
yes,
no job. Don't nobody in the audience know where you work at.
Yeah, we've relocated. Yeah, Dane. I'm. You know this, and most of the people that follow us know that. Yes, I accepted a job in the Northeast with a sports company that will not be named.
Some small time sports company. I'm sure no one's
Yeah,
ever heard of
just
it.
something up in the Northeast with 4 letters. But yeah, we packed up and moved from Texas, where I called home for 31 years. Yeah, Fresh Prince of Bel Air style. But man, it has been a crazy 5 months. Rewarding at this new job has been great. Being able to create a lot of content. If you follow me on any social media, you've probably seen a lot of the stuff that I've been able to do in such a short time, and it's been great. And but I definitely missed this, Dane, being on this with you. And we got a lot of people that follow us more than I actually knew, so we appreciate everyone that's held in for the long ride while we have been taking care of business on both ends, Dane. But how have you been since we last spoke? I mean, I talk to you almost every day anyway,
of
but
course.
for the people that just follow us through our pod endeavors, you know what I'm saying?
Man, so it's been great. A few new milestones have been reached since then, since that very long time ago, back in July. Few reasons. Deonte shared his rationale as to why he discontinued. We temporarily discontinued all services. We ceased and desisted all services. But for me, at least, I didn't even have a computer, man. My computer was down. You start to spend money on stuff. Stuff just starts to break down. It's like, wait a minute, what about me? Wait a minute, what about me? Car, home,
more money, more
blah,
problems.
blah. Yeah, so had to ordered a new computer like back in, I think, June or maybe May, and it took some time. They had to build it in Middle Earth. All the finest and precious metals, they had to put it together, and all of the microchip shortage and all that stuff. Anyways, had to get a new computer, so that took some time. So even if we wanted to keep recording, it probably wasn't going to happen because I didn't have anything to record on. I mean, I'd be on my phone, and probably wouldn't. The quality would be horrible. So there's that. And this is building up. I'm building up to the most important things.
For sure.
Took some time to get some career things taken care of. More details about that later. Just learning some new skills so I can be better, the best version of myself. Onboarded some new employees that I manage now, which has been very rewarding. 2 very excellent people, beautiful people, 2 beautiful souls, and very, very intelligent and self-starters. So that's been the thing. Also, family's growing. A lot of people in my small circle know this already, but for those who don't know, congratulations. You're a part of the family now. We're not expecting 1, but 2 new Beasleys. My wife is pregnant with twins. Yeah, man. Appreciate it. Wife is pregnant with twins, and we're expecting a boy and a girl. So, been trying to get the house prepared.
What a blessing, man.
Yeah, man. Just the way everything fell, everything happened, it was just like, okay, this is.
When you told me that,
he didn't believe me. You didn't believe me. He was like, "Oh, you lying?" I wish I would.
That was after we recorded our last episode.
Yeah, it might have been. It might have been right after we recorded our last episode.
Because I was looking at you on camera, and I had to bring Karina in. Yeah, so after we recorded episode 90 back in July, Dane told me this wonderful news.
Yeah.
And Dane plays so many jokes on me. Y'all know if you listen to the pod, and if you know Dane and I, he plays jokes on me constantly. So when he told me this, I didn't believe him. I literally grabbed Karina from the other room, brought her in here, and had him tell her. So I'm like, he ain't
gonna lie to you and your wife. Come on, man.
He ain't gonna lie.
Of course, I'm better than that. Yeah, he ain't gonna lie.
So he said the exact same thing, and it was like, oh, this is real. But I'm so happy for you and Nisi, bro, and not 1 but 2 bringing in to join Lang in there. But happy for you, man. It's getting closer to that time too.
It is, and that brings me to the third and final point of why we've been out, or I've been tardy, have been not showing up to the podcast work. I actually needed to move out of the previous room because that was the twins' room, and now I'm officially in the office. I ain't got no doors or anything, so anybody knows anybody that installs French doors, I already got the frame, I already got the French doors. You know somebody that's pretty handy with those installations, please let me know, recommend it, because I need to get that done, because right now it's just an opening right there. And if you know anything about acoustics and sound, I don't. I'm assuming it might be a little bit better for podcasting purposes if there is a four walls or enclosed situation
Right.
without an opening right there. So yeah, that's been my life, man. Just learning just how great I am at following instructions, building dressers, building bookcases, uh, installing car seats, multiple car seats. Got to buy another car, so that's the whole thing. So it's just been a very, very, very rewarding time of year for us, but just very, very, very fortunate. We have a lot of people with support around us and friends that we can talk to and just do life with. So again, we're back. I'm glad to be
Yeah.
back. Wouldn't have had it no other way. And the timing itself is just everything just fell organically the way that it did. So again,
Yeah.
I'm glad to be here.
Likewise, bro.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Happy to be here, man. And if you follow us, it's been a while, and definitely thank you to all the people that reached out, and when we announced we were coming back, a lot of people
Yeah,
say, "Yeah, about time. Thank you." I know.
yeah.
Thank
I
you
was like,
for
well,
the
dang, my
continue.
bad,
Well, we didn't
my
we
bad.
didn't really
Oops.
know, but
He said, did y'all break up? Did y'all fall out? Like,
yeah,
I was like, nah,
just
man.
life, just life, and
Contract negotiations are difficult these
I,
days. So.
for
No, I'm
sure,
playing.
man, and yeah, thank you to my wife, of course. Again, I'm gonna say it again on wax, so she can hear if she happened to listen to this episode. Picking up and moving her entire life, basically everything, our family and friends in Texas, and moving up here to the east. Definitely an adjustment. So I'm thankful to her, and I love her very much. Love you, Karina. Love you so much, and thank you for allowing me to follow my dream. And so it's been like real quick, Dane, before we get into the sports side, I'm gonna talk about living in
Bruh.
the East Coast.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Living
It's
on the
nothing.
East
Yeah, my bad. My
Coast.
bad. Whew. Mucho frio.
Frio one. We're having literally, as I'm recording, as Dane and I are recording this, it is about 4 inches of snow outside.
God,
It's
dog.
been snowing since about one ish, and it hasn't stopped,
Man.
and it's not supposed to stop until about 1 a.m. So, I am scheduled to go to work tomorrow, a 20-minute
So
drive.
so it's like the movies. You got to go shovel your like driveway out.
Driveway, sidewalk,
Man.
like where I live, there in our neighborhood, there's a rule, like you have to shovel your sidewalk in front of your home for like the disabled people that are in wheelchairs and that kind of thing. So I have to do that. Have to keep my make sure to keep my windshield wipers up so they don't get frozen and stuck to your car.
Man.
So we got 2 shovels already. Got uh snow, like pusher snow broom. That's what they call it, snow broom. Ice pick.
Dang.
But yeah, this is the first snow of it's not even winter yet. It's fall
Is this
still.
normal this time of year? I mean, everything's messed up
Yeah.
because global warming and stuff. But I'm
Yeah, this
assuming
is
this is
normal, but I was expecting snow earlier, so hopefully it'll be somewhat decent. They treat the roads here obviously better than they do in Texas because they
of
get snow
course
more. So
good
it'll be
tax dollars
interesting
to
to
use.
drive, yeah, to drive to work in the morning. But another thing,
I never thought I'd say that ever in my life. Like, how old am I? My
what'd
gosh.
you say? I missed
I
it.
said good tax dollars at use.
Oh
Like I
yeah,
did, I never in my life thought. Anyways, yeah, my bad.
yeah.
Proceed, brother.
The
Proceed,
spec
my igloo,
and
my
another
igloo, brother.
thing. East Coast thing that I would never adjust to with daylight savings time beginning. I don't always get confused.
One of
Anyway,
those
daylight
two.
saving time changing.
Time changing.
It gets dark here at 4:30 p.m., which means it's 3:30 in
What?
tech. Bro, I didn't tell you this.
No, look, I'm glad that you're telling me in front of on wax.
On
That's
wax. The
crazy.
sun goes down at 4. Let me see. Show you. Or I'm gonna go on my phone and see what
Yeah, because
time.
it tell you go on your little watch. I know on mine's little face. It tells me the sun went down at this time. That's crazy.
Weather.
Oh, while you doing that, I just now got that Zencast invite, bro. Crazy. So I would have been sitting there waiting.
I'm gonna start
It's
sending
not your fault. It's just the cloud or whatever.
I did it manually this time. I just grabbed the link and just emailed it to you since
I saw that. I was like, okay, cool. I was wondering when it was gonna get here, and I got that. Bloop. I was like, ain't no way that's what that is.
Sunset 4:20 p.m.
Wow.
So
you better be home when them lights come on. Like,
just imagine. Like, I think the kids get out of school here around 2. But like,
that's nice. Still, that's like only 2 hours outside playtime.
Growing up and the sun is going down at 4:20. Like,
that's a normal for kids over there. Like, that's to consider that being a normal is weird.
It's illegal. Not normal. And so people, like a lot of people that have lived here for a long time is like, yeah, bro, it sucks. Like, you just got to get used to it. I'm like, no, I am never getting used to that.
Wow.
So whatever law that they're supposed to change or trying to change about daylight savings time, I hit that on accident.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of scary. Not gonna lie. That's a little scary.
Whatever the daylight savings zone or law that they're talking about, I need it to not be that 4:20.
Some form of legislation is going to make way.
I'm driving home at night, and it's like, it's not right, bro. I would never.
Scared?
Nah, I ain't scared.
You need to put a night light up in the car.
I might be a little scared.
Yeah, that's that old school 70s or 80s low tone they play when the killer's right behind the person and they turn around, they're like hiding behind like a grandfather clock or something. I'm crazy like that. Man. That's crazy, bro.
We caught up on life. I think they came here for the sports and stuff.
Maybe. Did they?
Maybe.
Okay.
Obviously our last episode was in July. We weren't able to put in our usual like NFL predictions and things of that nature. So
it's going the way we all thought it was going to go.
Yeah.
How about those Broncos? hey, let's ride. I've been waiting to say that since July, bro.
For 5 months.
No, the real talk though. There was an entire episode, I think back in March, maybe April. I can't remember. We had an entire episode where like the first 30 minutes where you were so excited and so you were like I've never seen this version of you of being so excited. I haven't seen that version of you since like the Mavs won the NBA title. I haven't seen that version of you.
Or when we won the Super Bowl. Broncos.
Yeah, that too. But you were so excited, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I got to sit through this." And then he has and by the way, I intentionally waited. I'm still every single week I've looked for this jersey because I want to intentionally send you this Russell Wilson jersey.
Oh my god, he's been
sucking booty juice for so long. I've been like, okay, let me get this jersey, and they still, of course, not available. And that's like the most common size in like all of the universe, so it's never going to be available. Anyways, I was like, man, is it available today? Is it available? I want to send this to him so he doesn't change his mind. I want him to eat this entire jersey, just having to wear it every day, remind him, man, my team sucks so bad because of this. Well, not because of this guy, but definitely doesn't help. Anywho,
the Broncos. Okay, let me just say this. I was wrong, obviously.
Booty juice.
I don't think I could have predicted. I don't think anybody could have predicted this, right?
Nobody. I would have picked out a
Super Bowl winner, all-pro quarterback coming in to the Denver Broncos, loaded with talent, all-star defense, and mind you, our defense is still top 5,
which is crazy.
A 3-10 record. So put that in perspective, how bad the Denver Broncos have been this year.
Scoring
you know what? I have the stats right in front of me, bro, because I knew we were going to talk about the Broncos. Well, we dropped a little bit today because we played the freaking Chiefs, but
y'all still had a good game against them. Granted, it started slow.
Let's see. Total yards. Our defense is Come on, Deonte. Load up the stats.
The
Okay, 1, 2,
Carfax
3,
looking
4,
like one
5,
boy.
6, 7. 7th in total defense yards per game. Coming into today, we were 3rd. But, arguably the top 10 defense. And we have a 3-10 record, right? We picked off Patrick Mahomes 3 times today. Like, the defense probably played one of their better games. Well, points wise, no, but getting turnovers, giving the offense opportunity to put points on the board, they
eye
did.
test.
Yeah. But overall, like when I've watched Russell Wilson, especially earlier in the season, man, because a lot of people have been commenting that he's washed and
cooked.
And there have been, it's like 80% of the games where I've watched where the play is right there for him to make and he's not making it. Whether it's a wide open receiver across the middle, taking off and running with it when you had, like today, he took off and ran with it more than he's had or has been since he's, been in Denver. He did go out in the 3rd quarter with that concussion, tough hit there,
Right.
but he was making plays with his legs a lot more than I've seen this year. And there was a lot of talk about him being injured, which I don't want to cape for him having an excuse for that.
Put that cape on, D. Put that cape on.
I'm not gonna cape. I'm just gonna say, I feel like it has had an impact, but the mental aspect of it, being able to make plays with your arm as far as the decision making, like seeing a receiver wide open and actually throwing him the ball. There were times where he was holding the ball too much, which was a big concern for him coming into to Denver from Seattle because he always takes a lot of sacks. But man, it's been a disappointment. Nathaniel Hackett's got to go.
Yeah, that boy
gotta go. We seen from week 1, bro, where he was making I wouldn't even say Madden. It was worse than Madden like decisions. Like we can manage the clock in Madden, right? Like this dude was letting clock. He had to hire basically a clock. He had to hire
quality control person,
clock management coach to help him. So I feel like he's in over his head at this point. It's 3-10, 4 games left. Why fire him now? Just, let the season ride out,
the rest of it,
so to speak.
That's right.
And look forward to next season. But right now, we have 3 wins and we have the 2nd pick, which we gave to Seattle. So that's not good. We got a first round pick back by trading Bradley Chubb, but not ideal, man. Not ideal. Yeah. What do you see from Denver, from the games that you happen to see?
No, I've watched plenty. I've watched plenty of games, plenty of footage. Like
you know why you had to watch plenty of games? Because they had us on primetime for like 5 straight weeks.
Yeah, torture. They was like, how we gonna piss a lot of people off? We gonna put this trash on TV.
They just flexed us out this week for the first time.
I'm like, bruh, they really, I don't know what deal did y'all do? Russ did with whoever's in charge of doing all that stuff. I'm like, bro, they really thought, I guess the NFL kind of thought, this is Russ is back and Russ is gonna cook. And they put, I was like, bro, another primetime game? Because I remember in like a 10-day span, we was watching y'all at 7:00 at least 2 or 3 times. Like, bro, this is at this point it's intentional.
And at this point it became so bad, like you're gonna be trending in the wrong way. Like embarrassment is gonna be a meme. It's gonna be something that happens during the game.
Oh,
somebody tweets about it, and it is
like I can't imagine how you felt. I know how I felt when I seen what's his face, old buddy, who pulled up on him was a few games ago.
Oh, Mike Purcell.
Bruh. I was like, bro. I mean, the crazy thing is Russ didn't even flinch. Like he almost knew it was coming eventually. Like, man, it took y'all this line to, come and put me in my place. But I was like, dog, that's so awkward. But that's not happening to my team. But I mean, I think y'all put it together. It's just gonna take a minute. Hopefully he heals up and they rest him, do what they need to do to make sure they don't put him back out there before he's ready to be back out there.
Yeah, he went out with a concussion today. I mean, like, I know he's gonna want to play, but
he need to sit at least a few games. I mean, it might just do him better to sit the rest of the season, but I don't know. With that price tag, buddy, y'all don't have it out in that contract for 3 years?
Yeah, and we've lost like to go back to like the injury aspect of it, we're probably the most injured team, like most players on IR. I know like half the offensive line is out. We lost Tim Patrick before the season started. Didn't have Cortland Sutton. Lost Javonte Williams. So that has been a factor, but not this bad. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, man,
not this
Whew.
bad. The offense has been anemic before today. 28 points today was more than a surprise. I think we're averaging like 16 a game, which is, they were saying a stat like the 0-16, the year the 0-16 Browns happened, they averaged more points than the Broncos did, which is an embarrassment. But
yeah, man,
it was I keep thinking about that video I made when he got traded. I was very excited. I was very
Unlimited.
happy. Very happy. And this is where we are, Dane. This is where we are.
Oh my gosh! Look, man, I'm just glad to be back. Not so much that you can have the open space to talk about the state of your mental health because of your team and how booty juice they are, but I'm glad that you're finally speaking out, man. I'm glad
It
you
helps.
have it. I know we've talked about this in private plenty of times, but to hear the people to hear what's going on with your team and how just horrible they are, it's
Like this pod is like a therapy session, bro. I
it
haven't
really
really had a
is.
chance to let all my emotions and feelings.
And
But
it's a
Nathaniel
shame I got to
Hackett
do
has
this for
got to
free.
go. It's got to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Broncos are in disarray. I was wrong. I was very, very wrong. I've said 1,000 times more.
I've made a terrible miscalculation.
I made a terrible mistake. That's the entire Broncos front office. But who knows? Maybe he bounces back next year. But
hell no. No, there's hope. Not much, but there is hope. There's hope. There is hope.
How about your Cowboys, man? What are you thinking? Your guys are sitting 9-3 right now?
10.
10-3. Excuse me, after today's close victory over the Houston Texans.
So if you see this helmet on my desk, it means I'm satisfied with how they did. Okay. I'm taking it off and putting it away because I'm not satisfied the way that game played out. Now you can see the Batmobile back there, brought to you by Langston Beasley. You put that up there, so I was like, I'll keep it there. You playing the worst team in the NFL by a large margin, and you win the way that you did by way of a fourth quarter comeback. Defense balling. Dak Prescott, he looks.
You saw this coming. You had tweet.
Yeah, I tell you guys every week about the stat line. I'll tell you the games in which you should start them for fantasy football. You're going to get a lot of production, but you're also going to get at least 2 or 3 turnovers every game. It's going to happen. But I was very, very intentional. I screen captured right after I sent it to you guys. Like, look, I wouldn't be surprised if by halftime Dak Prescott has 2 turnovers and we're within a 1-possession game. Obviously, I was wrong. He only had 1 turnover, but we were losing in a 1-possession game. And of course, by the end of the game, he had thrown one of the dumbest interceptions I've ever seen in my life. And I don't know what's going on with that kid, but he better be grateful of one thing, that defense is as elite as they are, because they saved his behind so many times. There are a few beat writers that I follow that, say they're not worried about the first half, the way they played, the bad pick and the fumble by punt returners, like, oh, this, that's little stuff. I'm like, okay. In my head, I was like, okay.
Right.
Okay. And again, what happened last week when we were playing the Colts, the 33-point or however many points they scored in the fourth quarter, third or fourth quarter, that's an anomaly. That can't be replicated week in and week out. That's just not possible. So I guess the expectation they have for the offense to do some miraculous thing, I don't know. Anyways, I'm not satisfied with the way they won. You're supposed to beat teams like that, but you're supposed to beat the mess out of them, which they did not. It was a 1-possession dub. And of course, I could be glad that they finally, first back-to-back 10-win season since the 90s. I want to say since like the 90s. So I'm glad about that, but that doesn't say much, especially when it's an increase of games than there was back then. So I don't know. I think we'll be round 1 or round 2 exit. Just because the offense is it's not doing. And I say offense lightly. Quarterback and receivers aren't doing what they need to. They're not doing enough to get it done.
Yeah.
If you can't put a team out of their misery early on like that, there's no way you're going to get past the 49ers team. There's no way you're going to get past an Eagles team. There's no way that you make a long deep run into the playoffs playing like that, because it's not happening.
There's a fine line between, they always say a win is a win, a dub is a dub, which obviously is true. Ultimately is true. But when you're in week 14
and it's still inconsistent. So
and you're making
that record doesn't mean anything to me, man. Like we talk about this all the time, and you always say me like, "Oh, you be a little too tough." I'm like, "Nah, bro. I'm a seasoned vet in this game. My expectations are right where they need to be. This team just."
Well, I will say this: I would love to be in your shoes right now with your team compared to mine and where we sit.
I guess, man.
Come on.
I can see that. I give you that. I give you that.
I hear what you're saying. Also, having to go 98 yards to beat a team that's won one game all season.
Yeah, like bro, like there's nothing to beat your chest about. Like, and I'm sure that's gonna happen. Dudes beating their chest and like, oh, bro, we did. I mean, defense can be that, because they had some really tough short yardage situations, multiple fourth and short stops, like in the red zone. Like, so shout out to them. Anybody on offense, y'all ain't got nothing to say to nobody. Y'all better not be up in the media or rah, none of that, because what you put out there for everybody to watch and play their heart on and see was boo-boo, was booty juice. It was bad. It was real bad. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Right now, you guys are sitting in the 5th seed, which is so crazy because the Eagles have done so well and y'all in the same division. So they, the top 4 teams, if you guys don't know, the top 4 teams, division winners get the top 4 seeds in the playoffs, with 7 teams getting the playoffs. So the Eagles lead the NFC East and the NFC with a 12-1 record. So they're the 1 seed right now. Dallas sitting at 10-3 with the 5th seed right now. Of course, those nasty Tampa Bay Buccaneers who just lost
the NFC South, right?
To the Niners. Yeah, NFC South.
Yeah, that division is garbage. I just watched Tom Brady get his teeth kicked in. Yeah. Like, I mean, it wasn't just him, but is he cooked? Like, I know we've probably been waiting to have this conversation for a decade now, but I think he might be cooked.
Okay, every time this conversation comes up, not necessarily with me and you, but the media and people in general, he does some weird voodoo time trick where he goes back 5 years and plays well. But I'm here to say, Dane, the man's cooked.
He might be, man. But I've
been waiting for this day for years.
For a long time. He robbed us of so much joy.
Get out of here, Tom.
I don't know. I want to wait until they're like, and it's hard to say because that division is so bad. Like, I would love to say once they're mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, but we won't get that
to week 18
because that division is so ass. Like, it's so bad.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at that division. Yeah, so you got the Bucks leading it right now at 6-7. Carolina, who just beat Seattle in Seattle today, makes it to 5-8. They're the second in the division. Falcons are 5-8, and then the Saints are 4-9. Yeah, so with 4 games left, that's probably going down to week 18. But Dan, you know what team that I've enjoyed watching the last 4 or 5 weeks? And
let me guess, AFC or NFC?
NFC team. I think
the Eagles.
No, I mean, I'm impressed. Not to say I'm not impressed by the Eagles. They've been extremely well and dominant this season, but a surprising team, should I say? And they're fun to watch. That's a key. That's a clue. Fun to watch.
No, I don't have a.
From Hard Knocks, Detroit Lions.
Oh,
I knew you wouldn't have been impressed.
What's I'm glad you see. old buddy from
Alabama,
Jameson Williams. Jameson Williams.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna say him.
Hopefully nobody else requested him. I picked him up. He's on the waiver
fantasy.
wire, so I was like, man, he's back already. Like, dang.
Yeah, I hope I
Okay,
don't
cool.
play you in the playoff.
Talking about me?
Yeah, I know.
Oh, you scared? You scared?
Nah, I ain't scared. But yeah,
Let me
Detroit
check
Lions
Tyreek Hill real quick.
have played well.
Down by 12 points last time I checked.
Who you are?
Yeah, keep going, brother.
I was gonna say Detroit has played well. I think they won 4 of the last 5 and fighting for one of those last spots in the NFC. Dane, do you think all 4 teams in the NFC East are gonna make the playoffs?
I think it's a very strong possibility for at least 3 to have for 3. At the worst case or best case scenario, 2 of them are going to make it. 3 of them might make it. It all just depends on how competent the Giants the Giants just took an L to the Eagles today. So maybe how competent the Commandos can make things. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, Seattle
they
just
play.
fell
I think
out.
the Giants play the Eagles again, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Where it sits right now, every team in the NFC East is in the playoffs.
So gross.
Eagles are the 1 seed. Cowboys are the 5th seed. Commanders are the 6th seed. Giants are the 7th seed. Seahawks are on the outskirts looking in, as well as the Lions, Packers, Panthers. So it'll probably be out of the Seahawks, Lions, and Giants and Commanders for those last 2 spots. I don't see the Packers coming up. And in the AFC right now, we got the Bills, the 1 seed, Chiefs, the 2 seed, Ravens, the 3 seed, Titans that look nasty today, 4 seed, Bengals, the 5th seed, Dolphins, who just fell or about to lose to the Chargers right now, as the 6th seed, and then the Jets at the 7th seed. The Patriots and Chargers looking in, but the Chargers will probably jump up to the playoff picture. Right now, man, I have and flipping to the MVP race. I got Hurts.
Yeah, it's Hurts MVP to lose. It's his to lose.
Yeah,
I don't see anybody else doing anything to move the needle.
Yeah, what he's done can't
poke holes in anything in his game. Like dude has been,
which is crazy to think about, because coming into this season, people thought of him as talented, right? But there were still questions about if he was a QB1 worthy. Like, I heard a lot about whether
he took the leap this year.
Yeah, much needed leap.
I didn't have any type of thoughts about him being a leader, because the leadership abilities, they were there. He's accountable. He's vocal. They listen to dude. But I needed to see it on the field, and after the first 3 or 4 games, like, yeah, people need to stop, especially Cowboy fans. That more than anything like to think that we run stuff just because of we're always on TV and all this stuff. I'm like, those dudes are the real deal. And granted, it's still gonna be a nice little fight when we play them again. But people need to recognize he needs to be accounted for, because his ability, like, he can be so much more dangerous than what he is, because we're seeing just a reserve shell of himself just for the sake of he wants to be a better passer. But if he was more aggressive on the run, he'd be tearing teams up even far more than what he's doing right now. But that's his MVP to lose. If I'm a betting man, that's his MVP to lose.
I agree, man. Like, and in that Nick Sirianni offense and the way they kind of play to his strengths, a lot of the times you see him they just letting him. I think he broke a couple of records. Didn't he break the record for most rushing yards for a quarterback in a game?
I know their offense they're like the first team in like a long time, or the first team in general, to have like 200 or 300 rush yards one game, and then the following game they have like 200, 300 passing yards, which hadn't been done before. Yeah. Or they're the first team to do it. But
I've seen that a lot.
Their offense is balanced. And then the defense is the freaking strength of their team, though. Like, that's the crazy thing. Like, they got some dogs out there, man. They got some horses out there, man. So I don't know.
It's great to see, like, when teams play to their quarterback strength. Like, with Hurts. Finally, you see it in Chicago, even though the record's not showing it. But with Justin Fields,
where's he from?
I don't know. What school did he go to?
You will know. You will know soon. Look, you will know soon.
with
he's
Justin
from the
Fields,
Ohio State University.
I guess you could say Josh Allen letting him do what he does, running out there, right? It's kind of good to see that and feel like you'll see it more, especially with those guys that are coming out in the draft, right? Bryce Young,
big,
CJ Stroud,
strong, mobile, strong arms, and they can command an offense.
Caleb Williams eventually when he comes in a few years. So Denver, you paying attention? Caleb Williams.
Y'all better tank next year because that's the only way it's happening.
Can we get
that boy gone? Gone.
Yeah, Dane, you mentioned your Ohio State Buckeyes, and by way of, I don't know what if you say fate, destiny, luck, somehow, some way, the Ohio State University is the 4th seed in the college football playoff. They will take on number 1 seed Georgia. Other 2 teams, Michigan and TCU, will face off in the Final 4. How you feeling, man? Because
a madman once said, Deonte, you could not live with your own failure.
Where did that bring you?
Back to me. Yeah. One of my homies, my close friends, Solomon, he's a Georgia Bulldogs fan. We've had great in-depth conversations. I even had the pleasure of ignoring his phone call after we lost to Michigan some weeks ago. And then I had the pleasure of ignoring his call again when he called me after the playoff, matchups were released with my Buckeyes playing his Dogs. And I told him when I eventually called him back, he's obviously trolling me. I was like, hey, look, man, I'm going to say the same thing I said before. There isn't a single team outside of probably Bama consistently that can match up with y'all drive for drive, point for point. It's not happening. There isn't a team that can match y'all on both sides of the ball. However, don't count us out. Okay, we gonna ball. We got a lot to make up for. We got embarrassed by Michigan, and they weren't even at full strength when they smacked us up and down the field that day.
Man.
But no, there isn't a team.
You thought it was over then, huh?
Bruh. I was like, yeah. I mean, in my head, I told you guys, like, we did not deserve to be, and I'd say we very lightly because I'm not a part of the team, obviously, but that's the team that that's the team that those are my boys. We didn't deserve to be in the playoffs based on how they embarrassed us like that at home. So the secondary has a lot. They don't got nothing to lose anymore because of how bad they play. But we're going to get tested in them trenches. We are going to get tested because Georgia's offense, they got some certified dogs. Like, as good as their defense was last year, I'd say their offense is just as good, and their defense is still great. They still have multiple top 15 guys or multiple top 15 picks on their defense. But anywho, I still think Georgia is Georgia's game. We still gonna show up. I'm still gonna watch the game. Still gonna root and hoping my Buckeyes win. But I'm a realist. I ain't no scrub out here lying to myself, saying we can win. But I'm a realist. If I can tell a lot by the first few drives. Like after the first 5 or 6 drives, I was like, okay, yeah, it's curtains. Pack it up. We're gonna have a good look. We're gonna have a good rest of the year. Let the backups get some PT, and we're gonna try to bring this thing back next year. Yeah, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. But I'm very happy with what TCU was able to do. Granted, the loss. And shout out to Kansas State. Like, dude,
your brother's gonna love when we say this, but Deuce Vaughn, obviously,
Deuce Vaughn is a dude.
I mentioned Baylor a lot, but having to deal with Deuce Vaughn for 4 years, I am incredibly glad that he is heading to the NFL. And yes, he is going to the NFL. If you don't know who Deuce Vaughn is, think Darren Sproles mixed with Doug Martin.
Probably second or third round. He's going. His style of play is where offenses are headed. Where offenses have been headed for a number of years, and he fits that. Like he is that. He is him, as they say.
Deuce Himothy, he is thereby known as. But Kansas State with a big time win in the Big 12 championship game against TCU. But Max Duggan, bro, and then
the redheaded one
being able to watch the
Speedy
Heisman Trophy ceremony over the weekend and seeing all the ceremony, or excuse me, all the stories of all
highlights.
the players and stuff and where they come from. Max Duggan has an incredible story.
Fascinating.
About, he came up and he got I think I mentioned he got benched. His dad was the coach of his high school team and he got benched for someone else, which who's
Humbling,
ever
bro.
hearing that your dad's a coach and your dad benches you, which kind of shows me like he learned humility early.
Yeah,
But
got to.
He had heart. I remember him having that heart surgery last year.
Some
I want to say
ago. A year or two
but
ago.
he has played incredible for TCU. Without him, obviously they wouldn't be there. Same with Caleb Williams, who won the Heisman. They didn't make the playoff, but I thought that was a really cool joke. I don't know if you saw that on Twitter, Dane. The part of his speech.
Oh yeah, when he acknowledged that, essentially he'd rather trade places with them because they're all everybody who the runner-ups for the Heisman. But he can say that because he knows that he has not a few more.
Another
He's probably
year.
leaving after.
Yeah.
He's probably leaving after next year, but he can say that with confidence because he's got another shot at making a run for next year.
Yeah.
But to your point, yeah, very sharp dude, man.
Yeah, like Caleb, I think Caleb, like I would have voted probably Caleb 1, Duggan 2, and CJ 3, but I you probably won't agree with that. But each of them, I know for sure I saw big time Heisman, and I didn't watch Ohio State as much as you did, so I know you probably seen some Heisman moments, but I've seen like maybe 3 or 4 Heisman moments. Like how they always have that moment in
that
the game.
That play. Yeah.
I say Duggan had about 4, and I seen Caleb had about 5 or 6 that I watched live, and it's incredible to I think Caleb kind of deserved it. And it'll be exciting to see the college football playoff. We'll make our predictions on that down the road, but and talk about some bowl games because freaking Baylor, bro, 6-6. It's disappointing coming off this.
Let's talk about it. Therapy, my brother.
No, we'll talk about it next time.
There's not enough time.
Yeah,
not enough time to talk about it this time.
Next week.
I got you.
But Dane, I'm glad this particular story happened because when Deion Sanders got hired at Jackson State, we had an episode where we talked about it being great for HBCUs.
Absolutely.
Him having an impact. And I think we also questioned how long he was going to be there.
Right.
And I dropped a little content last week called Monday Morning Coffee where I talked for like a minute or so about Deion and who Deion was as a player. And
beautiful, by the way.
Thank you, brother.
Very informative.
Deion was as a player where he didn't really stay. Like if you look at his career in the NFL, and his career post NFL, he doesn't stay in places very long. He makes his impact.
Doesn't allow himself to get comfortable.
Makes his impact. And so I'll ask you this.
What's that,
Jay? Deion Sanders going to Colorado and leaving Jackson State after 3 seasons, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's a thing of perspective. There's plenty of layers that we have to address here. Plenty of layers that I would like to address here. I don't have a dog in the fight, but being a sports fan and with Deion being the icon that he was and is, it goes to say that there's a number of ways you can look at it. I myself I'm not an HBCU grad. I have plenty of friends, family that HBCU, so they might have more context, so they might have more, I guess, on the line about this conversation than I would. But for the sake of me being the voice of such thoughts and perspectives, I think it's a good thing for college football. College football is much better with Deion Sanders. College football players are much better with the impact of Deion Sanders. The machine itself, because we know it's let's just be real, better quality games, more people to watch it. More people to watch it gives you more exposure, more fandom, more money, more revenue. So I think it's good. I think it's good for everybody involved. Where the concern or the conversation comes in play is what that then now does to a Jackson State, who is an HBCU entity, and that's a conversation that unfortunately I can't say the right things for that. I don't know what that means for their program moving forward, but what I do know is that Deion definitely left his mark. I think anytime you think about someone and putting their actions to their words, you have to think about just the sacrifices that he may have made or the things that he may have done, the promises that he may have fulfilled, and the words that he may have kept. You have to think about that, and before we jump to conclusions and say this bad thing about this or this and that. And again, I don't know Deion. I don't know what his intentions are or what they were, but I do know that college football and college football players, they're much better with him around than they are with him not. So I look forward to what he's able to do with the program over there in Colorado. It seems like he's already making an immediate impact with recruits.
Man,
Seen
isn't he?
one of those. I think he was I saw a return highlight, Buddy returning a kick return. That kind of speed for a high schooler, ridiculous. That is ridiculous. Like Buddy ran like a 4.3 or something like that. It looked like, yeah. So immediate impact already. So I'm curious to see how it goes, and I'm hoping nothing but the best because, like I said, college football is much better with Deion than without. So I'm all for it. What about you, man? I already got most of your thoughts. When you were having your cup of was it coffee you were drinking or tea?
Coffee.
Okay, with your cup of coffee. I heard what you had to say about it, but I'm curious, like, the impact, the impact that he might have, especially if you looked at the schedule for next year and the year after.
I know they play TCU first.
Yeah, look at the back end of the schedules.
They play Matt Rule second, Nebraska. I haven't looked at the rest of their schedule.
Yeah, do yourself a favor. Anybody listening, look at that Colorado schedule, the second half of that 2023-24 schedule and the 2024-25 schedule.
Hold on, Dane
look at the back end of them schedules. It's going to be very interesting this time next year, thinking about Deion's impact on the program, because it's going to take some time to turn programs around like that, especially ones like that are not familiar with the form of success or putting together multiple wins or an excessive amount of wins. He's got a tough road ahead of him, but I think he's down for the task.
They won one game this year, right? Colorado.
So if you win two,
you double the wins, literally. But
that's a win.
I think I'll say this.
What's that?
About expectations for Colorado. They're going to a bowl game next year under Deion, in my opinion. The amount of talent that I see coming from all these different places to come play with this dude, and this is December 11th, December 12th when this episode comes out. I think this will be a playoff bowl team, 6 wins next year. And to go back to the impact he made at Jackson State, like you, Dane, I did not go to HBCU, but I do see some of the comments of people that, like, there are a lot of people sitting on both sides of the fence. Like,
yeah, man.
Even people that are, in the HBCU community, went to HBCU, or calling him, a sellout.
Yeah.
I can't go that far because I don't, not to say that they were down in despair, but bringing a shine to HBCUs, like I mentioned in the Monday morning coffee clip that I did. College Game Day came to HBCU, or came to Jackson, Mississippi for the first time ever. Right. I just think Deion, it's always been who Deion is like making impacts for a short period of time. And I think he did the same with Jackson State. Now, it will be interesting to see how Jackson State is afterwards. I don't know if the impact that we initially thought for the entire HBCU, because I think we had talked about like more 5 stars going to HBCUs, like with Travis Hunter
which
there.
happened. Right. He's going to come to Colorado, ain't it?
That's what I'm thinking. I don't know if we'll see that kind of pop off as we thought initially with Deion making that change. But he has made an impact as far as with the Colorado staff already bringing in black
some heavy
coaches
hitters,
to that
some
staff.
heavy hitters.
Yeah, man. So it'll be interesting to see where they go from here. And I'm gonna pull the schedule back up, Dane.
Read it off.
Next year they play at TCU because TCU play at Colorado this year. They play against Matt Rule in their second game. That'll be good. Colorado State, our guy Craig. They play them week 3, and then the Pac-12 schedule begins. Oh yeah, that's a tough row. I did say 6 wins, didn't I? They coming from somewhere. I'm gonna stick to that. I'm gonna stick to that. But yeah, Dion. This particular article from the 4 letters says, part politician, part preacher, part pitchman. Deion Sanders started up a crowd of alumni, Roosters, former players, and other VIP celebrating his hire. Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see where they go from here. I give them 6 wins, Dane. How many you give them?
Only up. They can only go up. We'll revisit this conversation in the very near future. Let it be known. Dane Beasley said it can only go up from here.
Can only go up from here. Yeah, and we had mentioned, Dane, the transfers that Colorado has had, and the transfer portal as a whole has been crazy.
Beautiful.
They added the window rule, to where players can put their names in the portal during this window during the bowl season, which ends, I think, in January. So from now, or from December 5th until January, they can put their name into the portal. Then there's another window during the spring. And more than last year, 3,000 FBS players entered the portal. Right now, we've seen some heavy hitters already declare for the portal or enter their names in the portal. Dane, Oklahoma State quarterback Spencer Sanders, NC State quarterback Devin Leary, big name. Clemson quarterback DJ Uyungale, I think I got that right. Put his name in the portal. People are saying that he could go out west, maybe UCLA, which kind of makes sense with
he needs a quarterback whisperer, man, because he's got the tools. We've seen him play at a high level before, but I don't know. It is just a change of scenery helps people sometimes.
Yeah,
Spencer Rattler.
True. Hudson Card. Yeah, I think this is the portal is here to stay. Literally, we saw when Lincoln Riley left Oklahoma and went to USC. Of course, he brought Caleb Williams with him, won a Heisman. Right. Brought Jordan Addison, who won the Biletnikoff the year before, over to USC. Mario Williams, just a bunch of talent went to USC via the portal, right? And they were a win away from going to the college football playoffs. So now with the portal, we see rosters literally change like that, which with recruiting, like you see a team go from a 4-win team to a potential playoff contender. Right. Is that something that when I first brought up the topic, you were all for, but is that something that you could have imagined before?
No, I would have never imagined. There's a lot of things that my creativity speaks to me. This was not one of those things that I saw coming, like in terms of the impact of the players getting more of a voice, because this is the voice. This opportunity for them to put their names back in the hat and say, "Hey, I'm open. I'm available. I'm open for work." Like LinkedIn says, when you're ready to move on to another job, you can say, change your profile to open to work. This gives them the opportunity to use the objects at their disposal, the tape they've put on display, the blood, sweat, and tears, and many, many, many other things that we don't know about they've sacrificed. This gives them that opportunity to move on, to have a fresh new start somewhere else. How many times, and again, we have to use these type of analogies and context because people find it in their hearts to say, well, they're quitters because, back in my day, we sat on the bench and, and blah, blah, blah. Like, that's you. How many times have anybody left one job because of XYZ, whether it's pay, whether it's the opportunities to grow, whether it's coworkers, whether it's leadership? How many times have you left from point A and went to point B and you realize, my life is a little bit better now because of it? This is the same thing. This is the same thing. This is the same exact thing. Maybe the original coach that recruited me, maybe they're not there anymore. Maybe the new coach has installed a new offense and I'm not all comfortable with. Maybe I know that I had a bad year, and maybe this is an opportunity for me to allow this team to move forward in another direction with another player more capable of leading this team than I am, and gives me the opportunity to go somewhere across country to make more of myself, to challenge myself to make something shake. We need to, with people, fans in particular, you weirdos out there need to extend some grace to these guys, because these are, at the end of the day, these are kids. These are kids trying to make the best decision they can possibly make for themselves and for the generations to come after them. There's nothing wrong with the transfer portal. I'm fully in favor of it. I think it speaks more to the maturity of an adult to realize they have the expectation to be great, the expectation to be available, and the expectation to contribute to the team, to a team. And you can't do that if you're sitting back behind on the depth chart for whatever reason. So I love it. I think it's going to help the NFL in terms of development. It's going to allow these guys to be more flexible. It's going to allow them the opportunity to count on themselves, to bet on themselves. And I love that. I love that. So young brothers out there, take advantage, do your thing. I'm rooting for you. Nobody else does. I will, because I'm fully embracing the idea of young people, taking the opportunity to bet on themselves and make something more. Yeah. So regardless of situation or circumstance. What about you, Deonte?
I'm with you on that. I understand that some
I hear
players,
a but coming on. I feel it. I feel it in the cadence of your voice. But go ahead.
I'm with you on that. I understand the players willing to gamble on themselves to either up their draft stock, get playing time, whatever they feel they need to do, because we see player movement, we
roll my
see
sleeves
coach movement, and things of that nature. But I will say this: as of Monday, over 1,000 FBS players were in the NCAA transfer portal, Dane.
What's the problem?
Not everybody is going to get those spots, those scholarships.
Okay. That's a reality. That is definitely a reality.
Right. So my question, or should I say my quote to that, will be careful. The grass is not always greener on the other side. And I think a lot of players already know that, but it always goes back to the point of chasing what they feel they need to be successful in their life, things of that nature. But there are going to be players that don't make those spots, that don't get those D1 scholarships, that have to drop down to D2 or D3. And if they understand that, then that's fine and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of goes back to, like, this is like the recruiting kind of window, like when they were coming out of high school, where everybody's not gonna fit into those. They only get a certain number of scholarships, so somebody's gonna be left out in the cold. So it's just another battle, and knowing that you may not win it, and so you got to be ready for that.
I see what you mean.
That's my point.
I got you. There's always going to be a spot somewhere, and it's all about making the most of the opportunities that are provided for you. And some way, somehow, there are opportunities there for people who need, or for people who want them bad enough. So
yeah,
the league will find. If the goal is, and I'm sure the goal is for most of these guys to make it to the pros, the NFL will find you.
Yeah.
Okay, the NFL will find you.
Or like Dion said, I ain't hard to find. You seen his social media post? Bro, okay. I will say this. Back to Dion real quick, bro. How do you feel about his social media posts? Like, when it's like him walking the field and just looking around, be like, he talking to himself. Somebody obviously recorded him talking to himself, like, oh, I'm coming. We coming. Like, the one where, have you seen it? The one where he walking in the middle of the field and he like looking left and right, like, "Oh, we coming. We coming."
Yeah.
And then at the end, he's like, "I ain't hard to find." But that we didn't even talk about it when he first came to Colorado and he had the meeting with the Colorado players.
Yeah, I'm like, dog, that is intimidating. And you know what it reminded me of? When he was giving them the quote, the spill. Every time a Coach Hawk would pull anybody to the side, if I'm talking to you, it means I like you. If I'm not talking to you, that's when you should be worried. And his famous quote, he say this all the time. Love you, Coach Hawk. It's, what have you done for me lately?
What have you done for me lately?
All the time. So shout out to Coach Hawk, because that's what that reminded me. Like, wait, am I getting scolded right now?
If y'all don't know the quote, Deion said, look it up. But he basically said, "Hey, if y'all want to hop in," he came into Colorado after the press conference, met with the players in the little auditorium. He was like, basically, he said, "Now, if y'all want to hop in the transfer portal, go ahead, because I'm bringing my bags with me."
Mm-hmm.
And it's Louis. Or he said luggage, right?
Yeah.
I'm bringing my luggage with me, and it's Louis.
Bro, that's a bar.
That is a bar. Love or hate Deion, that's a bar.
That's not like, people can say what they want. Oh, that's, insensitive. Bro, we're all adults here. We've heard some. I can't speak for everybody else's personal sporting experiences, but that's nothing. That's nothing in terms of some of the talking twos that you can get. That ain't nothing, bro.
College level, and we heard some stuff. You know what I'm saying?
That ain't nothing, man. If that bothers you as a onlooker or a fan, you got way more difficult conversations that you need to have, or that you haven't experienced, because that's light work. But he did put it out there. Challenge yourself. If you think that this is where you want to be at, and you think there's a role for you here somewhere, meet me in the weight room, 6 o'clock, whatever, like 5 o'clock, whatever. Like that's essentially, he challenged them. So, you'll see people come, you'll see people go. Yeah. Or you'll see people stay, you'll see people go. But that's,
we'll see.
Expectations are there.
Yep. And now
is that
it? Nerdy news segment brought to you by.
Shout out to Keith.
Keith is the #1 fan of the Duo Sports and Stuff podcast. Also, he should get credit for being the producer. A lot of his music that you hear in between the segments, as well as the different noises and sounds that you hear come from our guy Keith. He's great.
Creative dude. I said it before, creative. And I said it plenty of times. One of the most creative, cool people you'll meet, man.
Most definitely. Has some content of his own music coming out. I'm gonna put his link to his Spotify channel in the description. Dane, we are back with Nerdy News segment. It's been 5 months. There's been a ton of stuff to go down, obviously with content across DC and Marvel, but news-wise, DC
are you with me?
Probably the best move they made since I don't know how, when, in my opinion. And if you're a DC Marvel nerd, you probably know this already. But back in October, the end of October, DC named James Gunn, yes, director of Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy for Marvel. James Gunn has been named head of the Warner Brothers superhero division, DC. I think his title would be DC Studios president or something like that. Mm-hmm. Along with Peter Safran. That's good news for DC.
That's great
in my
news.
opinion.
Beautiful
obviously.
News.
And there's already been a lot of changes going on in DC, Dane. One that the most recent is apparently Wonder Woman 3 will not be happening. It got canceled, as well as Aquaman 3. Wait, 2 came out. 3.
2 or 3.
2 came out, right? We're that out of tune with DC.
When was 2? When was 2?
Aquaman Lost Kingdoms, isn't that a thing?
Aquaman likes kingdoms. Isn't that a thing?
Are we dumb?
Play the music. Let's check this real quick.
Oh, it's coming out in 2023. It's coming out in 2023. I'm dumb. Was that the third or the second one?
It's the second one, man.
Oh, okay. It is the second one. I'm so stupid, y'all.
You good, bro?
And
good, bro.
Black Adam just came out. The Rock's movie. Apparently, the sequel is unlikely to happen. Basically, I think James Gunn is gonna come in clean slate. And if there's anybody else that can steer the ship of this crazy DC ride, I think it's James Gunn. We've seen what he's done with not only the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise, which obviously is under the Marvel tier, but he made Peacemaker for DC.
People love that.
Yeah, and I watched it. It was great content. He made the Suicide Squad for DC as well. I think DC is in good hands. Dane, what you think with James Gunn?
It's a step in the right direction, because DC, for all purposes of this podcast, we've talked about it plenty of times. We've held no punches about the content that's been put out under that umbrella. It's been mid at best sometimes, but again, much like the conversation we had about Dion in Colorado, it can only go up from here. It can only go up. I think it's a win. I think it's a win for not only fans, but also the teams that are involved with all the hard work that goes on behind the scenes with putting out a product that you can be happy and satisfied with. This is an opportunity for them, and I'm happy for it as a comic book fan, moviegoer. This is good news. This is good news. This is a dub.
Yeah,
this is a dub.
What did Mark Ruffalo say? The whole
this is an absolute win.
Yeah, in Endgame, this is an absolute win. Yeah, and I think what James Gunn is gonna do with DC is, I won't say follow the Marvel template, so to speak, but I think he will take his time.
What do you mean by
kind of
that?
Flesh out how the plan for DC will be in the next 10 to 15 years. I think we'll see a Marvel-like plan, not necessarily building in phases, so to speak, as MCU does, but starting fresh and building movies off one another. It's supposed to be through shows as well, and animation. So I'm wondering if they're gonna have them all cohesive. I'm not sure, but like you said, Dane, if it's in the hands of anybody else besides James Gunn, I'd be worried. But he has proven through all his projects and content that he's a comic book geek and nerd and knows about the thing. And I think that's what DC was lacking, someone who actually cares about the content and understands
and the source material.
And the source material and the characters, So that's good news for DC, and excited to see where he takes it. And I wouldn't necessarily say that it'll rival Marvel soon, but maybe down the line, man. Maybe 10 years when people are tired of Marvel and Avengers 10 or whatever, at that point, maybe DC can finally be back in the helm of, superhero movies if people aren't fatigued by then.
Oh, yeah, because it's going to happen.
Yeah,
that good old superhero
fatigue that, continues to get put on now and again. And Dane, as we close the pod, episode 91, we got to talk MCU, man.
All right.
Phase 4 just came to a close with the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, which you told me you did not watch because who cares? Even though we just hyped up James Gunn, you didn't even watch the holiday special.
Hey man, I watched it. Okay.
I don't think you watched it, but
initially,
Dane and I
I'm not gonna talk about your track record. All right,
you're right. Hey, I watched. Hey, let me tell the fans real quick. I watched the entire Harry Potter movie series. I know it has nothing to do with DC animated, like Dane has continued to argue with me about for weeks and weeks. But I watched
All
Harry
of you
Potter.
implies that you have some weight in the conversation.
I have a little bit of weight. I watched something that I hadn't watched before, and now I watched it, and so I feel.
How many times have we talked about Harry Potter in, I don't know, 90 episodes of this podcast, Deonte?
Not once. Not once.
How many spells and potions have we mentioned? How many times have we said Trificus Totalis? How many times have we said that? We haven't said it in all, Deonte.
I gotta get this quote off because Karina has it stuck in my head. Because, I don't know if you remember, Dane, in the first one when they're playing chess, big chess pieces.
Yeah.
when Ron is like, not me, not
Hermione, you.
Karina quotes that like once a day. It's funny as hell.
I got one for you. I've always made this joke. Niecy's never got it because she's never watched it before, but we're in the middle of watching them right now. I always say Potter because that's how Malfoy always says it. And I got Langston saying, so he'll walk around the house saying it randomly, and I'm just like, one of us.
Harry Potter.
That dude weird, bro.
Yeah.
Obsession with that dude.
But originally, Dane and I were gonna rank our least to most favorite MCU projects, so that's shows and movies. But that would have took like another hour. And Dane
Phase 4, of course.
Yeah, Phase 4. Excuse me. And Dane came up with this great idea to kind of
anybody would
cohesively put it together. We're gonna do our top.
Some weird effect.
We're gonna do our top 5 MCU. 5. Not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 favorite MCU projects. There were 17 total. We're just gonna do our top 5. I'm kind of interested to see your bottom. Maybe we'll do that next week. Let's do our least favorite MCU.
You see my bottom?
You're childish. All right.
Sorry, man.
I'm gonna go number 5. My 5th favorite.
Okay.
MCU project. Do we want to go back 5?
Yeah. Let's do it.
5, 4. Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
People listen like, what are these dudes doing? Man, we got so many inside jokes that only Dane and I know about. Man. Anyway, all right, number 5, bro. Just watched it. I hate you, man. I missed this. All right, number 5. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. I think I talked to you about this. Oh, Dane has a crazy look on his face.
Go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
Okay, number 5 is Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Remember, it's movies and shows. We're ranking them both.
I know.
Okay. Number 5, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. I think after we had both watched it, Dane, I texted you and I had said that I don't. There's nothing more they could have done. Like, I'm saying this as a compliment. Like, with everything that went on surrounding this movie, obviously with Chad passing away and what they had to do, the cast coming together through emotions, everything that they went through in this movie, and it came out great. Like, there were some qualms here and there about it, but I always think about what the cast and everybody that came together to put this movie on with everything going on, and I think they did an incredible job. Cinematography, the underwater shots, especially with Namor, thank you. Were incredible, and I just found out recently that I found out recently that some of those underwater shots were real. Like, he had to hold his breath like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, which is crazy. Yeah. Shuri, I think we all kind of saw or predicted maybe Shuri becoming the Black Panther, which I have no problems or issues with.
So you hate women?
No. I knew you were gonna do that.
I'm kidding.
I was actually about to compliment her and say this is the best that I've seen her act in the MCU.
Absolutely.
Throughout any of the projects she's been in so far. And I think that the emotional tone of the film kind of helped with that. Because I think obviously some of the real life parts and feelings bled in through the movie. Like these are obviously MCU characters aren't real, but dealing with the death of Chadwick and coming on film, a part of a franchise, he was a part of him not being there. You could obviously see some of that coming into the film, but I have that as my number 5 film. The action scenes were great, and yeah, that's where it's sitting with me.
Okay.
What's your number 5, brother?
My number 5. Mm, 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 mm. Coming in hot. Number 5 would have to be No Way Home. Spider-Man No Way Home. Coming in number 5. The opportunity to see Tom Holland, Tobey Maguire, and Andrew Garfield all on the screen at the same time, getting an opportunity at redemption for their roles of Spider-Man and bringing those characters to life. The ability and the creativity required to masterfully weave all of those storylines together, all those big personalities, all those amazing actors together. Huge task. And it's one of the most watched films in this house, won by Langston. It is probably one of the most watched films in this house. So they have the opportunity, unwillingly, to watch this and notice so many different times and so many different things take place. So that's my number 5. That is my number 5, and that was difficult.
Okay. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Number 4, Dane. Oh man. And I'm gonna have to explain this because I already know you're gonna flip.
I'm gonna rip you up.
Number 4 is WandaVision. And it's number 4 is WandaVision for me. And now remember, favorite. We're going to favorite. Not the best. It's my favorite, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I want to say WandaVision was the first product that came out post-pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree? Do you remember?
I think that might be because it was January, right?
Of 2021.
I think it was January, if I
remember
correctly.
I remember this being the first piece of MCU content that came out post-pandemic. And I remember having the feeling of like finally getting to see what was next, a part of the story. And I think that kind of brings it up as far as excitement for me and being able to enjoy something MCU wise that we haven't had in forever. Mm-hmm. Also, WandaVision was so different. Obviously, each episode was different. We didn't know what was going on. We didn't know how this was playing into the overall story. And eventually we figured out the storyline and how Wanda was being affected. And I think it was a clever way to kind of show how Wanda was mentally not there. And obviously we've seen the culmination of that with Multiverse of Madness and how she was in that movie. But I have WandaVision at 4, bro, because I think at that time, it was just a place for me personally where I needed MCU content, but it wasn't. It was just something different that MCU did, and I enjoyed the creative jump and the creative leap that they did with it, with the different nods to different television shows and culture and things of that nature. And I think it played pretty well. People kind of gripe on it, obviously, because of the short episodes,
good reason.
The ending, obviously, but I think it was a creative way to kind of introduce new characters, introduce kind of what was going on with Wanda at the time post Endgame. So yeah, I'm going with WandaVision at 4, and I hope I gave a good enough reason. That's why I put it at 4.
I'll allow it.
Thank
for
you,
what
sir.
It's worth. For me, coming in number 4, What If? I put What If in there. One, the animation style was just beautiful, captivating. The opportunities we had to have an alternate for some of those stories that we cherish and love so much. And for the sake of curiosity, we weren't sure if these stories were going to be adapted in any way, shape, or form just because they were all animated. But to this point, we can confirm so many of these stories, or so many themes and so many storylines where we can say were inspired by some of the things we saw in What If. I think it is a special place in my heart because it's a cartoon. One of the things that I can watch with my son, and one of the things that speaks volumes to the ability that these animators have, and it speaks to some of the magic still being captured by the actors, the voice actors, for the most part. I think it's there. You can do a lot more things when you can do a lot more things. You don't have to worry about as much CGI with animation, with cartoons than you have to with live action.
Yeah,
but I liked it. I liked what it's set up, what it's set in place. Number 4 for myself.
Right there. What If made my, let me see, 5, 6, 7. They made my top 10. They were 8 for me if we'd have did the full list. But I like your reasoning. The animation obviously goes back, and it kind of reminded me of the comic book, kind of MCU stuff. To see the different realities, it kind of introduced us to that as well. So that's a good selection, my guy. Number 3, bro. I got Loki at number 3. I enjoyed that show so much, and it's my top rated show that MCU has put out. So Loki is number 3 for me. And 1, it was, no, I meant 1 as in not the ranking, but 1 and why I chose Loki at number 3 was because of my expectations for it. Like, out of when they released like the slate of MCU movies and content, Loki was probably one I was least excited about, and I ended up enjoying it more than a lot of other things that content that MCU came out with. The action was great. Loki himself, Tom Hiddleston played that role incredible. Like how, like seeing his, I know it's a different Loki, but
right,
not caring about this character years ago and seeing that the way they used him in this show was incredible. I think him becoming kind of like a hero, anti-hero, whatever he was a great kind of twist to it. Like we mentioned with What If, the different realities, and Loki is gonna have a season 2 as well, but I think it plays well. And then we got introduced to Jonathan Majors and the different Kanes he's going to play, right? And how he is going to eventually be 10 times bigger than Thanos was. But Loki, I think I got Loki at 3 because of it blew me away expectation-wise, because I had the lowest expectations for the show, and it surpassed all of that for me.
Okay. I'll allow it. For me, coming in number 3, the one, the only, Moon Knight. For me, it is the idea of being introduced to something so mind-bending. This is outside of the norm with Disney-related entities and properties, where we're evaluating and understanding, or we step into the lens of mental health and those type of things. So when we are educated about, dissociative identity disorders and Stephen Grant's many trials that he goes through from point A to point B, it's fascinating. But also it provides us the opportunity to use our imagination, because the assumption, of course, is not the story itself. When you have a character as complex as this with multiple perspectives, your imagination has to take you to places to understand their motives, their themes, their development, all that type of stuff. So we didn't get the opportunity one time. We got this opportunity essentially, one could say, 3 different times. But I enjoyed this one so much. It was very difficult. I think I'll have an honorable mention at the very end of this, but yeah, this was it was heat. It was heat for me. I loved it. I loved it.
And we had Keith on episode 86 to talk about Moon Knight as well, the season finale, and talk about all the mental health aspect of it. So that was a really good episode. If you guys want to check that out, if you haven't already,
check it out.
Great selection, my guy. Number 2, I got Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Not a surprise. Well, surprise. Yeah. Definitely a surprise. I thought it was
at number 2. I watched it recently, maybe like 2 weeks ago on the plane to Arizona when my wife and I just went. And surprisingly to me, this movie gets a bad rap from what I saw. Just because I think a lot of expectations of cameos and people that wanted to show up kind of didn't show up, which, expectations bring disappointment. But the movie as a whole, I think Benedict Cumberbatch, is Doctor Strange, right? Like he obviously takes over the movie. And I enjoy the adventure and road trip kind of as it is with America Chavez and Wong, and seeing the Illuminati finally after is rumored for a while, and Reed Richards, our boy, what's his name, Dane, from The Office.
Yeah, it was a Jim, right?
Jim, what's his real name?
Jack Ryan.
John Krasinski. Golly, it's been a while for us, y'all. We on the pod names, but
I told you his name was Jack Ryan, man.
I ain't mean no Jack Ryan, bro.
It's Jack Ryan.
Just seeing the different. I always love to see new characters, but seeing an alternate version of Thanos that they defeated, and just seeing these different timelines and possibilities that happen in other worlds, so to speak, and to see what can happen or what will happen in the future in a potential Doctor Strange 3, with him having to prevent incursions, which leads into Secret Wars and all these other things. So that's it's gonna be cool to see in the future. I got Doctor Strange at number 2. Doctor Strange 2 at 2.
For number 2, Black Panther Wakanda Forever. So this is number 2 for me. The movie itself was very beautiful. Depiction of celebrating a beautiful life, but also acknowledging the beginning, middle, and end of a particular character or a particular person that we hold dear to our heart in the Beasley household. Chadwick, he meant a lot to his family. He meant a lot to his fans. So it goes without saying the way that the send off that they prepared for him in this movie was beautiful. But Brian Coogler, like he did his thing. The cast, they did their thing, like from top to bottom. It was such a beautiful thing. If I had to limit it to just one thing about this particular, why this is number 2, this project is number 2 on my list of favorites. I think to me, it reminded me of the ways in which you can go through the grieving process for people that you've lost in your life. Plenty of people know this about me. I lost my mom when I was in ninth grade. So I know what I went through in terms of what I used or what was necessary for me to cope and to deal with those different stages of, up to acceptance of her not being here, and to see that being portrayed in such a beautiful way by not by one character, but by 2 characters was awesome. We see the way that Shuri, she managed grief, and the way that she dealt with not only the loss of her brother in this film, but also the loss of her mother. And we see the same thing with Namor. We see the way that he dealt with the loss of his mother and the rationale or the justification he has and the conflict that he has with the outside world and the mistreatment of his people. So just to see the motives in which these 2 very amazing and well thought out characters have, and the grief that they deal with, I think is a beautiful thing to see. But also just the movie itself, it was dope. It was very dope. Very, 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 very special. He's gonna have a very special place in my heart just because of the actor being iconic, the late Chadwick Boseman, and then of course the beautiful, beautiful dedication to him and his life work as put on by his castmates and of course the director and writers. And so shout out to Marvel for that one, because that was it made you laugh, it made you cry, it made you happy. So it made you go through everything. So for me, that's my number 2. So
Very well put, man.
yeah,
Very well said.
appreciate
Like I can't say anything to that. Like everything that I wanted to describe when I put it at 5, you said it in a more elegant way. And
this guy. So
that's why you're my guy, man.
I got you, man. Appreciate you.
Number 1, Spider-Man No Way Home. That is my number 1. Like it was splash, bro.
It's crack.
Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield. It's like having all 3 of those guys on screen.
What else needs to be said?
Like, it's like what else, bro?
Nothing, man. Like that's
Toby, Tom, and Andrew Garfield. Like, you can't beat it, obviously.
Nope.
And the moments in the theater, seeing Tobey Maguire come through the portal. I think Garfield came through first.
Yeah.
But seeing Tobey Maguire come through the portal, theater erupts, obviously. But I guess just like them actually doing it, because it was rumored for a while, obviously, but to see it on screen was just another thing. And then the action, plot was dope. Seeing Jamie Foxx and all those other villains that come through again was pretty cool. And with the MCU, they're really good at tying it together with the bow and leading into the future. So obviously with the Spider-Man franchise, and knowing now that the arc that Tom Holland Spider-Man had went through the previous 2 movies, and him going through all those things of, wanting to become a hero, learning how to become a hero, losing the ones close to him, and now at the end he's literally on his own. And so I'm excited to see what they do with this next trilogy in the Spider-Man series. But by far from, I think I put this 1 because the hype for it was up here, and the hype was met with the expectations, and it was met, you know what I'm saying, at the top for me. It was like comic book on screen, literally. So that's why it's my number 1.
Solid, well put. I think Langston shares the same enthusiasm that you have for Spider-Man.
Let's go, Langston.
Which one? Yeah, that was solid. That was very well put. Let I understand you more. I'll share my thoughts afterwards after I get to my number 1. My number 1, probably already know this just because of how highly I spoke about it before, but Loki set all of this in motion. Phase 4 came to a beautiful conclusion because of Loki, the way that everything was set up.
You always come back to Loki too when we talk about project. Man, you bet. Hey, remember back in Loki, right?
Yeah, bro, like it's literally if we had enough time, literally everything that you said about your top 5, I could tie it all back to Loki.
Yeah,
but I ain't got that kind of time.
On the next episode.
Yeah, on the next episode. On the next episode of Power. So the beautiful thing about that is Tom Hiddleston, like he did the dang thing. He carried. I mean, much like most of the movies he's been in terms of, specifically the Avengers, like he stole that show. Like his portrayal of Loki, the God of Mischief, like he did the dang thing. But this show itself, it showed a human side of him that we're not used to seeing, right? So I'm very excited what's in store for season 2. And of course, like I said before, and I'll say it again, it sets so many things in motion, and we get to see Kang. We get to see him in his full glory, and he's gonna make Thanos look like a kindergarten teacher. Like we're gonna see y'all gonna learn some things about this dude or these dudes
starting in February with Ant-Man. Scott Lang.
Yeah. So that's my top 5. I was curious. One of the things I was curious about, I was like, wait a minute. Doctor Strange wasn't number one for Deonte. I was very shocked by that because you went to see, I think, twice within 48 hours or 72 hours, something like that. I think it might have been 48 hours, maybe 72 hours.
Yeah,
I think you seen it on a Thursday, and then you went back to see it on the Saturday. I think, can't remember.
I just kept going back, like, I think that's why I kind of mentioned it. Spider-Man just took that because it was so hyped up, bro. And I think it was one of the rare movies. Well, Endgame did it, like, where the expectations met the reality of actually seeing it and how great it was on screen and things of that nature. But yeah, the Doctor Strange was right there. But the honorable mentions, Dane, I'll mention my two that just missed the cut really quick. Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Shang-Chi were my 6 and 7. Just missed the cut. And a lot of people didn't like Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I enjoyed it just to get back to like the grounded kind of realness.
They ain't want that brother to get that shield.
Yes.
No play.
Very real, you know, real life stuff in it. I think that
they ain't got no love for Papa Doc, man. Shame on them. My honorable mentions, one very surprising. I didn't think I was gonna like it as much as I did. Was She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. Like that was a very, very unique way of telling the story from not only a woman's perspective and a woman's point of view, but it called out some very uncomfortable themes and tendencies that we see in this nerd community or comic book community, with a lot of the. I mean, there's a lot of isms in there, but mainly just the way a lot of these dudes treat women and the way that they try to treat them as objects. And she let us know from the jump she wasn't. This ain't what you want.
Right.
But I think it was very masterful the way that they depicted her, and her story, and it wasn't too afraid to make fun of itself.
Right.
Or not too afraid to be not too afraid to be funny about it. So that was one of my honorable mentions. My other honorable mention would be, of course, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Yeah. It was masterful from point A to point B. Some very difficult themes for people to accept and want to talk about, but also was very necessary. Specifically, was Isaiah Bradley, right? Like his story, the way that they concluded that particular storyline from the start to the finish, like it was beautiful. The way they honored, the way that Sam was able to honor him, and you know, just his legacy, his untold legacy was beautiful. So yeah. Those are my two honorable mentions.
I think our lists were pretty similar, man.
Very similar. I was like, man, sound like mother.
So what I'm gonna do, we're gonna create a graphic and put it on social media.
Little Venn diagram.
And then see what everybody else thinks. And
get everybody else's thoughts.
Episode, hit us up and let us know what your top 5 were, and if you agree or disagree with what Dane and I had. But man, that is it, Dane. Episode 91 of the Duo Sports and Stuff podcast. If you don't already, you can follow me at DF's Right Steps, Twitter and Instagram. You can follow the podcast at Duo SNS Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok and Facebook.
Of course.
Dane, where can they follow you, bro?
They can find me at DaneBTX. I'm on the Twitter for now. I'm on the Instagram. That's it.
And what do the YouTube people say, bro?
Man, hit that follow, like, and subscribe, man, to get all the exclusive content, man. Get all the access, man. And that's a 2-hour-long video, and they spend 90% of the video talking about a bunch of BS and only 10% content. So we're not going to do that here. We're going to give you 99.9999997% of content, and you're going to get a really small percentage of fluff. Most of that fluff was just Broncos-related stuff, so you don't have to worry about that.
Let's not talk about them anymore. Appreciate everyone that has held us down for these 5 months.
Yeah.
We've been handling life things, and we are back. Appreciate it so much.